eyes must be open, our ears must be open, and we must hear and receive with our spirit that the time and the season, God is opening greater things, greater places in Himself for His church to go into those places, and we will not come out the same.
Yeah.
Because He is not just countering what the devil is doing, but consuming. Because the devil has opened his mouth and the mouth of hell and unleashed dark spirits. We know planet Earth for centuries has been plagued with demonic powers, but I'm telling you that the strategy of the enemy as he strategizes is he's held back some of that darkness for this time.
Yeah.
And God's saying, no. I'm not going to step back here and let you buy with that.
Yeah.
But there's only going to be a remnant of people that get it. Because, as the scripture said, that in the last days there will be a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. People will continue to marry. In other words, they'll just continue to go through the normal happenings of life and not even realize how close we are to the coming of Jesus and how imperative right now is final window.
Yeah.
It's a final window. Paul says, I have a final word. And in this final word, God would speak to us as we are in a time and a season of a final window open for mankind, as well as America and many nations. And I pray that God would help us, the church, to take advantage of this final window.
Amen.
This final window of opportunity to see the greatest move of God that has ever touched planet Earth.
Yes.
And it's happening in many places. And God is moving. Those of you that have heard us talk about our trip to California this year, there was such an escalation. Most of you know I was privileged and wore out to minister 16 times in 15 days in 8 different churches. But I can tell you, every church that I went to, there was an escalation of hunger.
Praise God.
There was an escalation in prodigals that were in the services and being
Glory to God.
in coming home to Jesus. More than I'd ever seen in a trip out there. And every time I've been out there, I have seen incredible things from God and God moving. But there was an escalation of what was happening and people's hunger. In fact, in one particular city called Corcoran is a small town. It's known to be pretty much the armpit of Central California. Really. Drug infested, witchcraft infested, and the pastors are first time pastors. I've known them since going out there from the church that they were in. They were groomed and prepared. And when I went to their city and their church for the first time, my heart went out for them because I saw such a daunting challenge. And in between then and now, we've had the privilege to speak into their lives. But when I went this year, it was amazing. First of all, there were 2 men. They were outside the door. I got there just ahead of the pastor, of course, to go early and pray and prepare. And so when the pastor got there and I got out, I didn't know, the men, I didn't know maybe if they were there just to ask for help or food or you know what. And the pastor came and he said, yeah, they're just waiting on me. They're ready to pray. And when I was there before, because the pastor, his wife, the people of prayer, there was prayer before service, but there was just a few people there. And then this year, up around the front area, because they just come in and pray, and they have canned music. They sing from a CD. From CDs. And this year it was like those two guys were waiting, and there was at least triple the amount of people that were there early seeking God. I was thinking, what in the world is happening? And then they started playing that camp music, singing, most of them off key. Just to be honest. But it was like places I've been in where, you know, they had every kind of instrument you could think of, the most, you know, quote, qualified, musically trained voices, and not experience and be caught up in the presence of God like I was in those folks singing off of a CD and